This meeting is being recorded.
Good evening and welcome back to Let's Talk Destiny virtual talk show. I'm your host, Jamie Green, and I'm honored to be back with you tonight. I want to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. There is some great content there that will bless your life. Tonight, I am beyond humbled and honored to have with me Ms. Pamela Reaves. She is the founder of Nella, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, LLC, a
It's
Maryland
correct.
limited liability company. Also, in addition to all of the many things that she does, she is managing her own growing business. She is a woman entrepreneur on the move. And I am just so impressed and blessed by her. And I know you will be also. Pam has appeared on a variety of radio talk shows and participated in a number of blog talk radio shows. She has shared her expertise as a relationship columnist with readers of several online publications. There's so much more to this woman that I think you should take the time to get to know about. But tonight we're just going to talk for a few minutes about this woman and her gift to recognize her purpose and to pursue her purpose. And one of the things that I was so excited about when I read her bio is about her natural care line. I want to talk about the natural skincare line products because I find that too many of us don't really know what we need to take care of our skin so that we can be our best selves. And so we're going to talk about a little bit about that tonight. But first, I want to take the time to say welcome to our platform. I am so glad that you took the time to spend a few minutes with me tonight.
Well, thank you so much for the invite. I truly appreciate it. I'm always humbled and honored. I never take these things for granted. That's just who I am. I appreciate it, but it's never taken for granted. So I just want to thank you for inviting me to your platform to share with your audience. It's an honor.
Thank you so much. So, Ms. Pam, before we get into the nitty gritty of this, tell us a little bit about yourself. What is it that you're passionate about? What makes you smile? What are some of your hobbies? What do you like to do?
Well, I will say this, and some may have heard me if they've chatted with me on other platforms, but I have many interests, and I am the woman who pursues them all. There's just not one or two things that I like to do. Over my lifetime, I have acquired many interests and I pursue them all. And that's because when you have many loves, when something goes wrong, when something doesn't go according to schedule in one area of your life, you are not devastated because you can just redirect your energies into something else that you love. And so I have so many things that I like to do. I like to write. And so I became an author. I hate human suffering. So I became a life coach to help others who may be going through something. So wherever I have interest and wherever I love, I want to share that with others so that I can enhance the quality of lifestyle for others.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful and intriguing. And it makes people realize, myself as well, that, like you say, if one thing doesn't work out and it's not going the way you want to, you don't have to give up. You don't have to just say, forget it. You can just try something else. And I appreciate that because I personally have been through that a number of times. I get excited. I want to try to do this. It looks like something that I could really do. And then something happens, whether it's a health challenge or whatever the case may be. And so I appreciate you saying that because I talk to women all the time who go through that. Like they hit walls and then they just say, forget it. But it's good to know that we don't have to give up.
No, no.
We have to redirect, but we
Yes.
don't have to give up. Now, when I look at you and I read your post and I watch what you're doing, I consider you a trailblazer. Um, and the reason I say that is because you have done so many things that other people may have thought about, but they didn't have the, I don't know, I don't want to say the nerve, but they just didn't pursue it. But once you open that way, like people follow behind you
Right,
and they say, if she can do it, I can do it. And I
right.
just want to publicly thank you for that. I want to
Well,
thank
I'm glad that you appreciate that. And that's one thing that I recognize, especially as an African American woman, coming up in our community, we are taught, and then through our experience, that people, tend to limit us.
you. That's
And
right.
so I've just been wired to be the type that, okay, I'm going to do it anyway. And
Yeah.
so if I can do it, I want others to see that they can do it. I come from very humble beginnings. And so if someone from my background can come and do all the things, and that is the lesson that I want people to see or hear from me. I grew up in the inner city. I'm the youngest of 14 children,
Yeah.
and if you are African American and you come from a family where the children were born from 1929 through 1957, as African Americans, you can imagine what we were
Yes.
faced with. And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
if someone in the inner city, and I know a lot of our inner city communities, feel hopeless sometimes, but those of us who have done well and who've been able to defy the odds, it's incumbent upon us to demonstrate to them, no, I come from you too, the same
Yes.
group, the
Yes.
same background. And if
Yes.
I can do it, you can. I appreciate that you think I'm special, but there are plenty of us who have all types of gifts and talents, and just as good, is not better than other communities who get out there and get credit for being inventive, innovative. I mean, just remember that movie, Hidden Figures, and I like to say there are tons of hidden
Yes.
figures in our community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And some of us, we don't recognize just how powerful we are. We don't recognize what God has gifted us with until somebody else shines the light on it. And then
Yes,
you're like, oh man, I can do that. That's powerful. So I appreciate that. And I thank you for reminding myself and my audience that there are so many of us that have gifts and we have talents, and it's way past time for us to release those, because no matter what anybody else is doing, there's something unique about you that somebody needs. And I appreciate
absolutely.
you saying that. So I want to talk a little bit about the natural skincare, because I personally have all kinds of skincare issues, and I've been challenged to find something that works for my skin. And so, first, tell me, how did you come to create a line, and what is it that we can do to, how will we purchase these items, or how did you come up with the idea of creating a skincare line?
Okay, I like to say when I'm speaking to audiences about change, that with change comes opportunity.
Yeah.
And for me, it really was the change of life. When I was dealing with menopause, all sort of hormonal imbalances caused problems that I'd never had with my skin. I always thought I had pretty decent skin. The imbalance was so severe that I've always had oily skin, but during that period, it was dry. I mean, bone dry. And all of the products that I'd always relied on, nothing was working. It was just horrible. Constant breakouts, constant rashes, discoloration, just irritation all the time. And so that started me thinking about what can I do to make my skin calm again. I'm
Yeah.
tired of scratching and itching and having breakouts. And even when I tried to apply makeup, that only made it look worse. It just looked
Right.
like
Right.
makeup over rashes. Really, the makeup didn't do any good. So I started researching, and I do believe that the creator just dropped this in my spirit about natural. what happens with natural. We're always saying in almost every part of our lives, go back to the basics. And so that's what I started to do with the skincare research. And when I started just, Googling what is good for skin, what makes skin balance, what do you do for irritated skin? Then all types of articles started popping up about natural products and what our African ancestors did, for their skin, because they didn't have all of the products that we now have on the shelves. So I developed it. My first product is a shea butter body lotion that you use for the face, well, the entire body. So I was giving an annual event, a gala, and this one particular year, I was trying to think of something to give my guests. It's a really nice gift. So that year, I gave all of my guests a jar of my Essentially Good Shea Butter Body Lotion, and they started opening it before the night was over. And a lot of the women were like, you should be selling this stuff. You should. So that's what gave me the idea. I started out just for myself. I was creating something just for myself, but because at that gala, they started to open their swag bags prior to the end. And they were like, well, do you sell this stuff? You should be selling this stuff. So the Shea Butter Body Lotion was my first product. And then and since that started working, I was, what else can I do with oils? What can I do for this? And what can I do for this condition? And I just started growing the product line by that, because I did find out throughout all of that is that things with fragrance will irritate you. So when you're looking for any type of body lotion, moisturizer, try to stay away from things that have fragrance. And if it does have fragrance, I'll let you guys in on a little secret. Where the word fragrance comes in the list of ingredients is an indicator of how much fragrance it is. For example, if fragrance is the third ingredient, you have a lot of fragrance in there. If it's way down there, you have less. So I didn't want fragrance at all. I just didn't want my skin irritated. So I started staying away from anything that was fragrance. What I do with my products, it'll be scented, but it's scented with natural oils, natural elements that have a scent. It's not fragrance. And so that's what I stick to. Even with makeup, when I put on makeup, it's normally water-based because I have oily skin, but it's fragrance-free. I always look for fragrance-free. Fragrance will irritate the skin. Stay away from that, And then in concert with my natural products, then I started changing my lifestyle, what I do. For the most part, I drink nothing but water. I drink nothing but water. A few years ago, when I was going through all of the changes with menopause, I started to have irritation in my throat. The doctor couldn't figure out what it was, but it was there. And he suggested that I drink at least 10 8-ounce glasses of water. So what I do, I drink two liters. So that's 66 ounces a day.
Wow.
At least 66 ounces a day. I will be honest, there have been times when I fell off the wagon, and maybe had a sip of Coke. And interestingly enough, even if it's a sip now, because I drink mostly water, before the day is out, I will have a breakout on my forehead.
Wow.
So that shows you how much, what sugar can do to the skin. So I try to eat, I'm not on a sugar-less diet, but very seldom do I have sugar. Sugar will age the skin. That's another secret. Sugar will age the skin.
Wow. I'm learning a lot. Thank you. Jeez.
Yes.
So if someone wants to purchase some items from you, how would they do that? What is your website?
They can go directly to my website, and that's Pam for Nella LLC. And that's Pam, the number 4, Nella, NELLA, LLC.com. And then once you get into the website, just click on Essentially Good. That's the name of the product. So once you get into the website, go to Essentially Good. All of the products that are available for sale are listed there.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to be doing that, believe me. As it's like you say, as you get older, your body changes, you go through all kinds of, I personally I'm having some challenges because I'm on so many different medications.
Yes.
And some days it's like my skin is so dry, like I could just write in it. And then other times it's like really oily. Um, then like there's, like you say, breakouts and itching and what, and the
Yeah.
thing is that you can take a medication that's really good for one thing, and
Yes.
then it creates all kinds of problems in the other
Another
area.
problem.
So I'm really, really praying and seeking God and trying to do more holistic things to just get off of all of this
Absolutely.
medicine
You know,
all the
and
time.
a little bit more work is involved, but instead of fighting it or being so discouraged, we just find out what works. So if
Yeah.
your skin is very dry, do moisturize. You can't do enough moisturizing.
Yeah.
And then on those days that it's oily, they have these blotting pads that's made from tissue. I know Mary Kay has them. That's what I use, and so instead of getting upset about the oil, I just pull out one of the blotting pads and, blot the oil. So we learn to do these things rather than to be upset about them and focus on that they mean something horrible, like I'm aging or, we just have to make adjustments, the necessary adjustments. They've just become a part of our life. That's why it's called maintenance, because you have to maintain it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Now, if you were to sit down with a young lady who is trying to find her passion, her purpose, to find her way, um, what is one main piece of advice that you would give to a young African American woman who is struggling to find her purpose? What is one main piece of advice?
I would start out saying, focus on getting to know who you are. In my coaching practice, that's the question that I ask every client out the gate. And the reason why I ask it in a session, I'll just say, who are you? Okay. And almost every time we will, and I've done it too, we will say, I am Pam Reaves. That's not who I am. Yeah, that's my name.
Okay.
And so we all get stuck because you know what? We are so busy living and these external forces are influencing things that happen to us that we don't take the time to go to a quiet place and think about and learn who we are. Like I am a sensitive woman. Yeah. Okay. So knowing that, I know I have to choose my network carefully, because if I'm sensitive, then I won't have confusion and chaos in my relationships. See, that's because I know who I am.
Yes.
I know I am a peaceful woman. I am peaceful. That's who I am. I am peaceful, so I will not engage in anything that isn't peaceful.
Okay.
And then in that, if I am peaceful, if I am loving, if I am caring, all of those things, who I am, actually define what my purpose is.
Yes. I love it.
That's why I know that my purpose is to coach, because I am a woman who is peaceful. I dislike human suffering. I like to see people win. So what do I do with that? So that becomes my purpose. Wow. I love truth. And so doing the right thing is my why in life. So when we learn who we are at our very core, then we know how to act accordingly. If you know you are peaceful, You are not going to be attracted to chaos and hatred and backbiting and gossiping. If you know that about yourself, you're not going to do it. If you don't know that's who you are, you will venture into relationships with people who have little to nothing in common with you.
That's true. That is
because
so true.
you don't know who you are.
Who you are.
And then once you know who you are, then focus on your value, because that's why we venture, especially young women, will attach themselves to someone else, thinking that that other person will enhance them, will make them, will fix them. And first of all, I would say to men and women, anywhere of any age, nobody can be fixed. We are human beings. Things are broken.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, but when we know our value and we know our worth, I'm not saying we won't ever run into people who won't value us, but guess what? That doesn't matter if you value you.
That's right.
If you value, if you know your value, it doesn't matter, because if they don't value you, you know that you can take corrective action, and that can be the power of walking away, the power of disengaging. We won't have a relationship if you don't know how to value me. See, when you know your value, you have the courage to make statements like that.
Yes, ma'am.
If you are confused about who you are, you will second guess yourself. You will accept the opinions of others, and the opinions of not others are not necessarily your facts.
That's right. And you know, for so many years, my identity was tied to who I was tied to. Like, I saw myself as Reverend Green's daughter. I saw myself as my mom. Both of my parents were pastors. So I was Pastor Green's daughter, Reverend Green's daughter. I was so-and-so's sister. And then when I started having children, I was this one's mother. And I couldn't, when somebody would ask me about me, I could only respond to by the connections that I had or the gifts I had. I used to play drums when I was a little girl. So I would be like, oh, I'm Reverend Green's daughter, the one that used to play drums. And then I remember when my parents died, they died like 3 months and 3 days apart. It was challenging. And not too long after they died, someone asked me for a bio. And I started out the bio by saying that I was the daughter of the late James and Essie Green. And a friend of mine said to me, why did you put that first? Because you spent your entire life identifying yourself as their daughter. So that's the first thing that came to your mind. But we want to know who you are.
Yes.
We don't want to know about your parents and all the great things they did in the community. We're happy about that. But on your bio, we want to know, what are you doing and what are you about? And that turned a light bulb on for me. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize I had been doing that all of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And you are not the only one. We all do it, but we have to, once we become aware of it, we have to condition ourselves. That's why I will applaud anyone who gets out to your own horn. I don't have a problem. I won't label you as arrogant, because guess what? I know who I am. I'm confident in who I am. So I have absolutely no problem with you celebrating you. Because I had a conversation with someone, it was about a young woman, and they said, oh, she just loves herself. And my response was, I would rather see that than the broken women that I come in contact with. Any day, I'd rather see a woman loving on herself. Even if you think it's too much, I still would rather see that than the brokenness that I have seen over my lifetime.
Absolutely.
And so I would say to your young women, women of any age group that may be your listening audience, do not be shy. Be unapologetic about loving you, tooting your horn, and letting people know about who you are. The CEO, there's a Black CEO of one of the tech companies, and her name, I think, is Ursula. Oh my God, I forgot the last name. I know the first name is Ursula. And I saw, I read an article about her. She was talking about her journey in corporate America because she's one of the very few Black CEOs of a Fortune 500 company. And she said, they knew who I was because I told them.
All right.
See, sometimes we don't want to tell people that I'm great at this. I'm the best at this. I'm strong at this. You're not going to find anybody as good as me with it. We're shy about that because we've been taught that that's arrogance. But there is nothing wrong with it, especially if that is your truth. You know, if that is that, we do not have to identify ourselves by others. But you know, that happens all over the place with everybody, and especially in the faith-based community.
Oh, my goodness.
It has become so political that we want to attach ourselves to pastors, even pastors' wives and children, and we exalt this select few and ignore other people.
Absolutely. Because you know what? We are programmed in the church to be humble.
Yes.
And the definition of humble is have as little as possible. I know growing up, it was like whenever somebody had too much, if they had two cars, then that means they were proud. And so they needed to give one away, you know, stuff like that. And so we got that in our mind that the less we had, the more God could use us. And then when we saw people that were like being blessed, we're like, oh my God, they can't be really walking with God.
And we become so contradictory. So then that same person will quote true scripture about him coming that we may have life more abundantly. Well, what do you define as abundant? What part? If he came that you have what are you waiting for? You know, what are you waiting for? So we have to break that mindset. And I tell people to watch that because guess what? Adversarial forces and dictatorial attitudes, they will take your meekness for weakness.
Absolutely.
You know, predators will do that. They are looking. That's why predators come into the church. That's why even some Sundays when I attend my church virtually, now in the chat, I will see people coming on. I have 3 children. Can you give me money? I need money. I haven't eaten. Guess what? They've picked up on that. The predators are on the virtual services as well.
That's the truth. I've seen it also.
Yeah, because they figure, okay, they're emotional. They're about giving. See, your predators know you. And so some things we have to go back and revisit, you know, with ourselves. But I would say celebrate yourself, because if you don't love you, how can you expect others to treat you and feel for you what you don't even feel for yourself?
Absolutely.
And when we love ourselves, really, we are demonstrating to others how I expect to be treated. If I love me, you have to. And if you don't, that's okay. We just won't have a relationship.
Yes, ma'am. I love it. Wow. That's powerful. I appreciate that so much. Now I'm gonna let you go in a few minutes, but I just want to remind the listeners of something that you said about the importance of celebrating yourself, because with everything that's going on in the world right now, it is so easy to focus on all of the negative things. I remember when I decided to start this talk show, and I kept saying, I want to do a talk show, but I don't have the technology that I see other people have. I don't have the banners and the lights and and my sister said to me, people may be drawn to something you scrolling through and you say, oh, that's a nice background. But they're going to tune in and continue to tune in for content, not for lights and banners and what have you.
Yes.
And so my oldest son said to me, he said, Mom, if you feel this in your spirit, you should do it, because you've been through some things and you came out. And so you can help other people to walk through some things. And so here I am a year later. I can't even believe, like, I did this in honor of my mom because she died in the month of March. So last March, I got some mothers together and I said, I want to honor motherhood this month and honor my mother. And that was my initial plan. And then at the end of that, that's when people started saying to me, I think you should just keep doing this. And I was like, I don't know. And they were like, you can do it. Just go ahead. And here I am a year later. I'm
Yes.
still here. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for people like you, women like you, that inspire me and encourage me to say, even on your lowest day when you're in pain, you can't, whatever the case may be, you still have purpose
Yes.
and you can do it. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, you are fulfilling your purpose, and just your testimony in the chat, someone else who maybe deal with pain,
Yes.
they'll see, well, this pain can't stop me. There is still something, for me to do. And maybe if it's no more than to show someone else who is dealing with pain, is that we don't stop living.
Yeah. I love
Everything that we go through, it's not just for us. It can be helping someone else, and that's what, and none of us get to, very few of us get to where we are without going through something,
Yes,
I can't be compassionate if I haven't been hurt,
wow.
what I mean? I
Yes,
can't, I can't be compassionate if I haven't hurt. I can't talk about winning and rebounding if I never suffered loss. So when people kind of glorify, well, we make it look easy, it may look glamorous, but believe me, we've been through so much, and that's why we can have the conversations come from experience.
Yes, yes, yes. Wow. Whew. You really blessed me tonight, Miss Pam, because honestly, these last couple of days, the 14th was the anniversary of the day that my mother died. And so it's just been like an emotional roller coaster this week. But I was really looking forward to our conversation. And I'm glad that I did not cancel this again because you have spoken life into my life. And I really, really appreciate that. I honestly do. So, how can the audience members contact you other than your website? Is there any other way that they can tell
Well,
you?
all of my contact information is at the website. All of it is in that one place. Yes, there is a page in the website that says contact me, and all of my social media addresses, phone number, everything is at the website. It's a one-stop, to get the contact information.
Yes, I love it. I love it. All right. Well, I'm going to get ready to let you go. Is there anything that you want to close with, that you wanted to say? Make sure you share with the audience tonight.
Well, I will say to the audience, I know that these are challenging times, unprecedented times, but remember, bent does not mean broken, down does not mean out, and that we are resilient people, and you are still here for a purpose. You're just not here, but you are for a specific purpose. So don't give up. Don't give up. I'll tell you what I tell all of my clients, and tell that I don't back up, I don't back down, when I don't back out until we break through.
I love it. I love it. Wow. Thank you so much, Ms. Pam. I
Thank you for
genuinely
having me.
appreciate you. You have really blessed me tonight. And I thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to talking with you again soon.
Okay, take care now.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.